Work smarter, not harder. I've been thinking about this phrase a lot since my big failure. You've probably heard the phrase before, and it's usually attached to a short video or a meme showing a clever, unintuitive solution to some kind of task. After reflecting on my own work style, I realized this is kinda terrible advice. Hold up, you might be wondering, what big failure? And that's what the new intro song explains.
I started doing management at 47th Street. It was going pretty smoothly till the lawsuits started. Wait. Then I slipped a disc, investors pulled out cause of risk. My business partner left and quit. I fired my supervisor. He caught COVID. Whitey has no future properties. I'm pivoting the company. And now this channel's technically just hey!
I've spent the last few years trying to work smarter and harder, but looking back, I was mostly running in place. I had a light bulb moment when I realized that the phrase, work smarter, not harder, is an awful roadmap to success. Sure, it's simple and it rhymes, but first, it assumes that working smart and hard are mutually exclusive approaches. If you assume you can stop working hard because you found a way to work smarter, your competition will destroy you. And second, it doesn't provide a clear framework for how to approach work in a way that you can scale. I'll explain a much better framework to identify if you're quote-unquote working smart. If you're an entrepreneur and you're low on cash, bootstrapping is a viable option to lengthen your runway. I did it for years, especially when COVID hit. Your team might end up taking on multiple roles and working ridiculously long hours. And in order to keep up, you might try to apply this working smart mantra by creating more efficient processes so you can get more out of everyone's work. But this is a trap. It's not that creating efficiencies is a bad thing, but it's thinking like an employee, which, if you're a business owner, is the totally wrong mindset. If you're trying to grow and scale your business, you've got to focus your time on, well, growth and scale. So a much better framework for identifying whether you're focusing your time correctly is to identify whether you're performing linear or residual work. If you put in some work and it yields a one-time benefit, that's linear work. Basically any kind of work that pays a salary or hourly wages, tips, even commissions. Your compensation is bound by the time that you put in. When people say work smarter, most of the time they mean to find an easier way to do linear work. All that does is save your boss money because you've increased your productivity but will be expected to put in the same amount of time anyway. And if you are the boss, all that does is take time away from doing residual work. I grew up in an immigrant family that placed a lot of value on hard work, most of which was linear work. I had this mentality that bootstrapping by doing accounting and purchasing would save lots of overhead and push me closer to my goals. I also tried to create efficiencies in my deal funnel and building pro formas. Sure, it saved money and time, but it was all linear work, and that's why I was running in place. Residual work is where you put in some effort and it continuously yields benefits to you long after you stop working on it. Like hiring people to take over an entire process at a net profit, or investing in real estate. Even putting this video together is residual work, because I make it once, but I can reach thousands of people long after I filmed it without ever having to invest any more time into it. Once you can identify whether you're performing linear or residual work, it becomes easier to formulate a growth strategy where you're legitimately working smarter and not harder. Okay, let's practice. I'll throw some examples out, and you pick whether it's linear or residual. Cleaning your workspace. Linear. It's mildly residual in the sense that you'll declutter your mind and be more focused as long as it's clean, but it's still linear work that you had to perform. Renegotiating your office rent. Clearly residual. You negotiate back and forth up front and get a repeating monetary benefit. Automating parts of your job. Sounds residual, but you may be just making a linear job function more efficient, so be careful. Automating an employee's job. This is residual because it improves your profit margin and you don't have to work on it again to reap the benefits. Reading a book where you learn something new. Residual. You learn a lesson and you can use it later. Now you tell me some more examples of residual work in the comments. Stay curious, noobs.